Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm Tim Harris. Thank you so much for swinging back by. Today, I've got my good friend, Ricardo Rosales with me. Ricardo, thank you for driving up, man.
No, thank you for inviting me to this episode, man. We've been trying to do this for a while now. I apologize for canceling on you before, but I got sick the first time.
Well, everyone gets sick when they have to come from Houston to Dallas. I mean, especially the way we beat the Astros in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Marlins fan.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm a Florida guy. So
do they even have a team still?
They do.
Oh, okay.
They're gonna have a soccer team now with Messi.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I watched them already. So it's gonna be interesting.
There you go, man. Hey, Ricardo, some of the audience doesn't really know who you are. Why don't you just take 60 seconds and kind of tell them a little bit about yourself?
Fairly simple. Ricardo Rosales out of Houston, Texas. I grew up in Venezuela, South America. I was born here, actually, in the U.S., but my parents took me there when I was a very little kid. And I was there until I was about 17 years old. Then came back here, worked for my dad in the insurance business for about 6 years. Found out I didn't want to work for my dad anymore and went on my own and joined the Navy. After joining the Navy, went into the oil and gas business. I put a career there, and while I was working offshore is when I noticed real estate, and in 2008 I started in the world of real estate investing.
One of the segments I like to do at the beginning is called the bluff, the bottom line up front. A lot of people will not listen to this entire episode. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
So I like to take a 2-minute section at the beginning, and just 2 minutes, kind of the most important things you see in today's market, what people should be doing, what they should be avoiding, what they should be focused on, and then kind of the cliff notes of what we'll talk about for the next half hour. Good to go?
Let's do it.
Go.
The other one thing that I would say is also pick one first and run with it, right? So before you go diversify yourself into 4, 5, 6 different income streams, make sure you're good at one. That way you can pay bills with that, right? People that are starting in real estate, for instance, and you have no money, pick wholesaling to generate money so you can later on borrow money from Tim and do the flips, do the landlord, do all those things, right? The other thing you have to do is be clear on your vision. You have to be clear on what you really want to be when you grow up. That way you don't make the same mistake I did when I started in this business, which was I wanted to be a landlord with 100 houses. That was the last thing I wanted to do, but I bought off somebody else's dream. So in today's market, with the way the market is, you got to be very resourceful. So if lead generation is not your thing, just become a fix and flipper. Find a mentor that can, handhold you and take you through the process. Pay the mentor. It's completely worth it. I'm telling you right now. It's going to save you a lot of money in the long run. And go flip a few houses, because there are houses out there available. There's money available. RCN, is a great example. They got great products. So go find a product and a house that you can go fix and flip. You don't like fix and flipping, or you don't like wholesaling, and you like being a landlord, then plenty of products out there. You're a W-2 person, make sure you're on it, because you are guaranteed to get funded, especially if you have good credit and you have some savings. You're going to get the money that you need, but you still need a mentor. So go find you a mentor, do the BRRRR method, and you can accumulate as many properties as you want.
One of the things you talked about was a mentor, and you talked about maybe, going after a business that didn't align with your values or beliefs. I know you do some events and things like that now. Quickly, just what type of events are you doing? I spoke at your Pros of Real Estate in Orlando recently.
An amazing speech, brother. Like, you killed it.
I had fun, especially calling the guy out that was on the phone. In the crowd. But what events do you do, and why do you do them? More importantly.
So one of the reasons I do events is to give back. Okay, if you notice in our event, we didn't do a back of the sale room type of deal with coaching or anything like that. But I understand events bring people together and like-minded people together. It serves as lead generation also for multiple businesses, right? I started doing events back in 2019, and one of the reasons why we started back then was because we wanted to share our knowledge with the people coming to help them. Literally, we weren't charging much for it or anything like that. And what we saw was that every time we did one of these events, something good happened out of it. We created new relationships. We got JV deals out of it. We started partnerships. People got to sell loans, and there was all this energy moving around these events. And the first one I did it with a few other people. Our core values didn't really align that well, and we ended up parting ways. Once I started doing it my way, I started growing more and more and more into the event space. And, we do it more to where people learn about real estate. And if they're in real estate, they can scale their business because they have all the tools and resources in it, but also the personal development side, that's probably where I see the most lack in people getting in our lane. It's that they don't work enough on themselves to where they can grow internally to materialize the external world, right? So I enjoy putting them together. It's another stream of income for us. We don't make a lot of money out of it, but what comes after, it's where we monetize. It's on deals, on affiliate, our relationships, and they're long term. We just started doing a marketing campaign with you guys, and I'm pretty sure that Chris, it's already getting some calls with potential clients for RCN.
Right.
And that's all just going to pay everybody on the long run.
Right.
So that's why we do those events. It's more to give back, bring people together. Also, it brings awareness of what's going on in the market, because in multiple areas in the country, the markets are completely different. We in Texas, something, Dallas, Houston might be very similar, but you go to Nevada or Colorado or Florida, and those are different animals. And sometimes there are opportunities out there that we can jump into, but we just don't know they exist. So by bringing people from multiple areas, we are able to build bridges. So that's why I do them. I like building bridges. I'm here this weekend for the Freedom event. So you're going as well.
Yeah.
So it's, I used to know a lot of people. Okay. I used to be very well known and all that. And today, I was driving here, I was counting with my hands how many friends I have. And I can tell you, during this weekend, I'm going to see probably 2 or 3 of those guys. So it's a way to connect with the people that you can have a good conversation about what you do, what I do, and we're in the same playing field, I would say. So, bringing like-minded people together, it always, brings good things out of it.
Perfect. Yeah. We're going to take a quick break, then I want to dive a little more into your story.
Right.
Stick around. We'll be right back. At RCN Capital, we know that time is money. With our competitive rates and quick turnaround time, you can receive funding in as little as 10 days. We offer flexible payment plans to relieve the pressure of repayment process. Our team is experienced in making sure that you choose a loan that will suit you best. Get on the phone with the loan officer today by emailing info@rcncapital.com or clicking the link in our bio. So for the audience out there that doesn't know who you are, why don't you just take a minute and tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
I am a real estate investor. Actually, I call myself an entrepreneur now because I've transitioned from real estate investing into other things. Started in real estate back in 2008 when there was blood on the streets. I was watching a show on TV and I saw a guy flip a house and I said, if he can do that, I can do that. I was in the oil and gas business at the time. I used to work offshore, and I said, the stuff that I do offshore seems more complicated than buying a house and flipping it. So I started, not knowing anything about it other than watching a TV show. And I bought my first house. It took me about 9 months to find a deal. And they say that you either pay an educator or you pay the streets. Well, I pay the streets.
Yeah.
So everybody and their mama came in and took my money back then. So my flip turned into a rental. So I was a forced landlord, I would say. How do they say when the landlord is an accidental
landlord?
Yeah, accidental landlord. And I kept that property for 4 years. So what used to be a nightmare at the beginning ended up being a blessing 4 years later. But it took me 4 years for it to become a blessing. in between that time and the 4 years, I probably accumulated over 100 rental units, and I hated my life with a passion. And I say this because I bought on somebody else's dream. I don't know if you know Blake Jarborough out of Houston. So Blake was in the business of selling loans.
Yeah.
So when he was doing his meetups, he was just trying to get people to become landlords. That way we can do the Burr method and all of that and buy with his private money and
refinance with his mortgage.
And then all that. And back then, they didn't have the amount of products that there are out there today.
Right.
It was all blanket loans, and it was all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah.
So I fell in that trap. And my problem is that I was chasing D-type properties. So with D-type properties, for those of you that don't know what that is, those are the properties in the hood, basically.
D stands for do not buy.
Yeah, do not buy. And here's what I did. I didn't have a mentor, like I said, so I was chasing those deals, and I don't know, in between 2008 and 2014, I reinvented that landlord business about twice until I just decided to liquidate everything and become a flipper.
Right.
Now, 2014, 13, 14, people are getting approved for loans already. So it was easier to flip. The market was going up. It was a good time. There was a lot of deals to be found. I mean, we were cherry picking flips, basically. And life was good. And I did it all while I had a job. So I was a full-time employee in between 2008 and 2015 in the oil and gas business. Banks love throwing money at you when you're a W-2 guy making multiple six figures.
Yeah.
So that allowed me to accumulate all those properties, and eventually I got rid of all of them because I found out once I got to my goal that I didn't like being a landlord, period. And that's why I said, I bought on somebody else's dreams, because that's the dream I bought from Blake, basically. And then one time I saw him, I said, dude, I hate you now because you sold me into these. And I don't hate him. He's a great guy. But not knowing what comes with accumulating all those properties, and especially in the wrong areas and all that, is what made me move into something else. So we started flipping. We started, I was doing maybe 2 to 3 flips at a time while I had a job. And it was okay. I was making on the side maybe $100,000 a year extra from these 2 or 3 flips that we did a year. And in 2015, I got laid off. The market turned down. They said I got laid off. I said as I got fired. There's no other way to put it. It's like,
we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, it's like they gave me a little bit of money, so I'm grateful for that. And insurance, my wife was pregnant, so they extended my insurance until my son was born. And so I'm not a W-2 hater. Like a lot of the entrepreneurs out there, you got to quit your job right now. And
they've just never had a good W-2.
And I was saying, man, mine was good. And I had the golden handcuffs. I got fat doing that job. And, I was able to put money away and put some properties away. So 2015 came around, oil and gas business takes a downturn. It's a cyclical business, just like real estate is. And at that time, I was 37, and I said, you know what, man, I'm young. I have a little bit of money saved. I can survive maybe a year without having to go chase a paycheck. Now, my expenses were high because I was making money in the oil and gas, and I was also making extra money in real estate. So I lived like a rapper. I had like $1 million home in Houston, and I had like 5 cars. And like my mom had a car, my wife had a car, my mother-in-law had a car, my daughter had a car. I had to have 2, one for the flips, one for the business or whatever. Stupid. Something I would never do again. I was forced to become a contractor so I could make a living out of my flips. So why do I say that? It's because I was trying to figure out how I can get paid up front, not on the back end. Because as an investor, investors get paid last. It's on the back end. But how can I make a living up front? Because I need to pay bills right now.
Right.
And I had a little entourage of friends from the oil and gas business that started investing with me at the time that I taught how to do what I was doing. And we created a small company where we were using their credit, their jobs, their W-2s, and basically pulling in together how to buy and flip these properties. And man, we started growing fast. What happened was once I realized that, and I was the contractor, so that's how I got paid up front.
Right.
So if you are my friend and Tim he makes $200,000 a year, he's got a good W-2 job, 700 plus credit score. All we had to do was find a house because we have plenty of lenders that will loan money on it. And with the experience that we had now, we got 100% money. Like, 100% of the purchase price, 100% of the rehab. So I knew that as soon as that rehab was funded, I could collect a fee for being the general contractor. And that's how I started making my money, basically, to live off.
Yeah.
Then the money that we made on the back end, that was pure profits, basically. So somehow somewhere around late 2016, early 2017, two of my partners at the time decided that they didn't want to continue going that route because we were growing too fast. And they were scared of the liabilities, borrowing too much money, buying too many houses at the same time. And at the same time, we had raised over $15 million of private money because once people found out that we were arguably probably the largest flippers in the Houston area, money just found us. Like, people will literally go to our warehouse, knock on the door and say, hey, you guys are flipping houses, and we heard that you guys do a pretty good job and turn them around fast, and here's $100,000, here's $200,000. And at the beginning, I was like shocked. But then after that, I was like, I have more money, lined up to buy properties that I could spend. And my problem was I couldn't hire enough people to work on these projects now to deploy all that capital.
Right.
So we grew very rapid and very fast. I ended up buying those two guys out. They kept a lot of the rentals. I kept all the liabilities moving forward and all the flips. And I think in 2017, somewhere around July, was the first time I ever thought I was rich. Literally, we were like, Dennis and I, so I had a business partner, my brother from another mother, shout out to Dennis. He's an engineer, so he's very in a box.
Oh, yeah.
But it made sense because I'm completely out of the box. This guy is in a box, so we complemented each other. And I'm telling Dennis, I said, Dennis, you like Lamborghinis? And he's like, yeah. So how about you go buy one and I'll buy a Ferrari? And he's like, dude, you're out of your mind. Why are we going to do that? And I was like, easy, man. You get into the Lambo club. I get in the Ferrari club. Guess what there is there? More private money. And we wanted to get into larger projects. Well, Harvey came in last day of August 2017, and we got caught with 47 flips at the same time.
Yeah.
And all of our workers disappeared overnight. And that's when the whole bloodbath for us started. Luckily, we had never bought that Lambo and the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have looked like two dumbasses trying to get rid of those vehicles.
Right. So 3 weeks later, can you buy this from me?
Well, we had money, so we had a lot of cash. And we thought, you know what, 6 months from now, we're going to be fine because we're going to be able to rehire people to finish these projects. And that was not the case.
Right.
We could not find people to go to work. We couldn't compete with FEMA. We couldn't compete with insurance companies. At the time, I think I was paying $200 a day a person on the labor, and maybe like a supervisor was $250 to $300. Well, FEMA is paying $1,000. So how do you compete with that? There's no way. Plus per diem, food, and hotels. And for 3 years, we literally ran out of money. We sold what we could. And the other thing was, every time we finished a property, now the property value is not the same because you have a flood of inventory coming into the market.
Right.
It was a whole disaster, man. And I lived in between 2017 and 2019, probably every nightmare a real estate investor can have. Getting sued. I had to deed properties back to lenders, which is very
painful.
Yeah, it's painful because when you sign up for the loan, you never, that's not the outcome you want to have. But out of $15 million that we owed, it was then the 1% that we weren't able to satisfy. So we were able to satisfy 99%. But eventually we were just broke.
Yeah.
That broke. Cash flow poor. Our liabilities a month were somewhere around $250,000. And I remember that's how we got into wholesaling, because we said, okay, we can't flip right now. We don't want to buy anymore because the market in Houston is correcting. How can we produce this money that we owe? And the only thing we could think of was wholesaling. We were not wholesalers. We were fixers and flippers. And we started lead generating for wholesaling, and we literally we had to start making $200,000 per month just to keep the lights on. And that wasn't for us to get rich or anything like that. It was just to offload properties. I don't know, I lost the amount of times I showed up to the closing table with a check just to offload it. I was like, take it off my hands. Here's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, whatever. It's off the books now. Out of 47, I think we ended up probably doing a deed in lieu for 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And that's because the lender just ran out of patience, to be honest with you. The guy said one day, it's like, guys, I'm okay financially. You guys are struggling, just give me back. And the properties were ready. They were already finished. They weren't just moving they were not renting. They were not selling. Nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, just give them back to me and I'll figure out what to do with them. It's like, fine, thank you so much. So
I don't need anything else.
That's 4 less I got to worry about. Then you had the ones that no matter what you do, they still don't, they don't know how to lose. That's the way I put it, right?
Yeah.
And those guys, those are the ones that we got into lawsuits and things. It's all clear now, but I had to go through all of that. And so I had to reinvent myself multiple times in between 17 and now. Until about 2021, we were heavily wholesaling. So we were able to put all that stuff in the past. We were heavily wholesaling. And the last quarter of the year, last year, where the market had a big shift, interest rates started going up. That's when we started suffering again, because I was heavily, and everything I touch, I want to scale. I don't want to stay just small, because I firmly believe that it's just, if you stay small, that's as long as you're going to go. If businesses are either going up or going down, but there's not a plateau
there's no steady state.
There's no steady state. That doesn't exist in business in reality. And I had about 100 employees at the time last year, and I kept them because I thought, maybe the market is going to correct and we're going to see the light. And we started seeing the light in January, but it was too late. My overhead was killing me, so I had to readjust that company. That's where I started that VA company.
Yeah.
And we started subleasing VAs to people. And when I understood the VA business, I was like, wait a minute, this is much easier than the 100 houses I used to have. Because on a house, I used to make $250 to $400 a hit. A house. But I had to sign up on the dots. I had to borrow money. I had to rehab it.
You can't fire a house.
You can't fire that. Well, you can, but I'm not going to talk about that. But, you'll sell it. You can just offload it, right? And sell it at a loss, of which I became a motivated seller multiple times.
Yep.
But on the VA business, you hire a person, you train them, and you can make just as much or even more on the cash flow. So I see my VAs as my houses. It's no different. Here, I don't have to get a loan. On a property, I have to get a loan.
Right.
Unless I'm doing it all cash, and that takes forever, and you know better than I do when it comes to all of that. So that's how I've come to where I am today, right? So right now we're still flipping. I still got 2 or 3 flips going on. I don't have desire to go grow over that. That's enough for me.
Right.
That's another thing I learned how to, in the last 15 years, how to have my stomach full, not empty all the time. And for a long time, I was running on an empty stomach, and that's why I was growing and growing and growing.
Right.
Now I'm okay with 2 or 3 flips. I enjoy growing our VA business, and we still do some wholesaling. Wholesaling, there's no liability other than the marketing that you put out. And now I'm getting into software and other things that, are all real estate related. But they're on a different spectrum that you never realize, how big these other businesses can be because you're just so focused on the real estate side all the time.
Yeah, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they think that they've got some sort of secret sauce in a specific business, but it's really what they're good at is business. They don't realize that they're good at business.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's applicable whether you're buying houses or selling loans. I mean, it's really just a lot of it comes to lead generation, lead conversion, client fulfillment, right? I mean,
Yep.
just kind of like basic business. Ricardo, earlier you were talking about you were in the Navy. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you too. You were in the Marines.
Yeah, you gave us rides everywhere we needed to go.
Exactly. We were the taxi.
Yeah, you talked about being in the oil and gas service. You talked about your family being immigrants. When we first connected, the first time we talked, you said you do a lot of events in Spanish, and it seems like something it felt like a passion of yours to share with maybe people that have the language, English isn't their first language.
Yeah.
The real estate investing. Could you maybe talk about why that's important to you?
Yes.
In English, please.
Yes, of course I will. I'll do my best, okay? English is actually my second language, although I think in English all the time. The Hispanic community is very well underserved, and is uneducated as well. So I started actually educating in English, believe it or not. It's people that will come to me when I was flipping. When I started on the landlord side, I scaled that. And then I went to the flipping side and I scaled that. And then the wholesaling side, I scaled that. So people will come to me for scaling, basically. Say, hey, how can I grow fast? Because you seem to be in the multiple lanes that you've done real estate, you just grow it. And I taught them how to scale with systems and processes and things of that nature that I learned from the military and the oil and gas business. It all comes from corporate America.
Right.
So little by little, I started attracting people that spoke Spanish, and I noticed that they were far behind when it came to needing my services as somebody that would allow them to scale, because they were newbies, and I wasn't training newbies. I was training guys that were in the business already. They just didn't know how to go and buy 10 or 20 houses at a time.
Right.
They knew how to do one or two. That was it. So I had to kind of like reinvent myself a little bit and say, okay, how can I serve this crowd that's coming to me because of my ability to speak Spanish? And that's when I started training newbies, and we started doing events in Spanish to train, people that just want to get into real estate and learn how to do what we do.
Sounds like it'd be fun to like teach, especially maybe first, second generation immigrants that don't think they can have or build the American dream. Like,
it's not fun. Let me tell you why it's not fun. It is not fun because they have a lot of limiting beliefs, Tim. And the limiting beliefs, that's the hardest part. It's how do I let them know that they're capable of doing it, but they don't see themselves. If they don't see it and believe it, they're not gonna do it. I don't care how much you teach them. You can give them the whole blueprint. You can give them the money and the blueprint. They still won't do it because they don't believe in themselves. So I do it more as a service. So I see it more as if I'm a pastor in a church and I'm just doing a service to them.
because if it sticks with 1 of 10,
at least I help one.
yeah, you
Right.
made the community better.
I made the community better. But it's not easy. It's not easy because they bring, and we all do. We all had limiting beliefs, and we still do have limiting beliefs. It's just that we've grown to where we learn how to overcome those and remove them and move them around or whatnot. But man, teaching new people in a foreign language too, because sometimes they don't speak English at all.
Right.
And now they want to be a real estate investor. You have to at least understand the basics. ARV, what's ARV?
Right.
Things like that. It's very tough, but I enjoy it. I do it. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's a challenge, and I'm going for it. And every day our community grows a little bit, more and more.
That's I was listening to your story earlier from kind of the 08 to 15 to 17 to 19, and I think all of us that are about our age kind of have that story of we thought we knew it all. And
I thought I walked on water.
And then we thought like we even beat something that the other people couldn't. And then, God just has this funny way of showing you that, oh, no, my son, you are vulnerable.
100%.
But we've all been through that. And I know, there's friends of mine that, I know that committed suicide during the financial recession, right? People that ended up getting divorced and bankrupt and, I
was told to file for bankruptcy 3 times by 3 different attorneys. And I said, no, I am not doing that. And they're like, you just wipe out, your slate clean and you go rebuilding. And I said, look, man, I'm not bankrupt. I just have a cash flow problem. But I'm rich here.
Yep.
Right? And today, I am so thankful I didn't file for bankruptcy. Because today I can go apply for a loan at RCN and I'm probably going to get approved for it.
Right.
But if I had the bankruptcy,
it's something we're going to have to talk about.
We're going to have to talk about that. And how come you have this bankruptcy and what happened here? And, and I'm an open book. I tell everybody, look, I have to do the things that the nightmares a real estate investor never want to have.
Bro, I don't believe anyone that ever says they've never lost money on a house or that they've never been in financial distress. You ain't trying hard enough.
Yeah, you just didn't try hard enough.
Look, when we were backed by Blackstone, we ran out of money. Because, sometimes your money backer is like, no, I don't
or they just unplug it.
I don't like the way you're running your business.
Yep.
Fix it.
Yep.
Right? I don't know. I'm with you, man. I'm so much better. The scars that I have on my heart and my brain from the mistakes I've made in the...
And the crazy part is, Tim, is today, I still have investors from back then giving me money.
Because you showed them you would honor your word.
That was it. I had one that came in like a year ago. This guy didn't know me from nothing. He said, Ricardo, I've heard about you. I know you had your downturn in your own terms. I got $10 million. How do I put it to work? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not your guy right now. I'm not borrowing. I'm not, because I had like PTSD on buying shit, man. I'm like, I don't want to buy another house.
Right.
But I said, but I'll be more than happy to connect you with people that need you.
Yeah.
You know what? And I did. I went and put them in contact with some of my friends, and they're working together today.
Well, I tell investors all the time, the one thing in this industry you can't buy is a track record.
Yeah.
Right. And the one thing you can't sell in this industry is a track record. You are stuck with everything you do from day one till you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And so you better be ready to account for and atone for everything that happens.
We're right.
And you need to make sure you document it and track it and be able to explain it, because a lot of it will prove how good you are, and then some of it will eventually prove how you handle tough situations.
That's right.
And it's that track record that will get you through and make sure you're always financeable. So we're going to take a quick break, come back. So stick around. We'll be right back.
REI Inc. is a monthly business publication for real estate investors, covering all types of real estate investments and strategies. It is the most comprehensive real estate investment publication on the market. All of the articles are written by the top leaders in the industry, so investors are assured of always getting the best information possible. Each month, REI Inc. also profiles the top companies in the industry and provides insights and data into key regional markets. Along with their sister platforms, the REI Referral Network and Highest Invest, real estate investors have exclusive access to off-market investment opportunities and national acquisition and disposition initiatives. To learn more, visit www.rei-inc.com, where you can also access the REI Referral Network. Also, be sure and visit www.highest-and-vest.com to view the latest exclusive off-market assets with near immediate acceptance decisions and closing strategies. You can also email marketing@rei-referralnetwork.com to request more information.
Ricardo, here we are. You're running a VA business.
Yes.
You're flipping, you're running events. Based off of rough math, we're both in our mid-40s.
45. I'm 45.
I'm 45 as well.
There you go.
So we could have been on the same ship. What ships were you in?
I was in the USS Gladiator, but we didn't transport any Marines. Okay. It was a minesweeper, small ship. So yeah, it was not cool. Trust me.
I was on the Bellawood, The Saipan and the Kearsarge.
Yeah, those are the Kearsarge. I had a friend on that ship, Colombian guy. I forgot his name, but he went to boot camp with me, and then he went to the Kearsarge.
Those were fun times. All right, so you've done all that. You're working on yourself now. What's the next 10 years like? What are you going to be focused on?
Man, honestly, it's growing my VA company and my software company. That's my focus.
What's the software company?
We do SMS and dialers, texting for lead generation. So we have our own SMS system and our own dialer. And my goal is to sell it. So
where are you running that out of?
Out of
Is that in Houston? Or?
No, that's all in Venezuela.
Venezuela?
Yeah. So
where's where your family's from?
Yes. So we have an office there. Right now it's over 50 people, and that's all they do.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So you said that you're a huge Florida Marlins fan.
Yes. Well, not huge, but I would say that's my team. Yeah.
You held your event in Orlando, but you flip and live in Houston.
Yep.
I
do it. So one thing I learned is how to do things virtually. So I just finished a flip in Grand Island, Nebraska. I finished another one in Wharton, Texas, not far from my house. I like going to new markets and getting to know new people and establishing new relationships. And that's why we did that last event in Orlando. Next one is in Houston, and that one is going to be big because that's where we have our biggest following.
It's where your people are.
That's where my people are. That's right.
So, what are the challenges you as an entrepreneur have to deal with how big is your VA company?
So about 50 people.
What are some of the challenges you're dealing with that maybe you weren't prepared for, that you're learning how to handle?
So that's a great question. So last year, on the last quarter, it was 100 people. So we're half the size we were back then. But one of the reasons why I had a huge wholesaling operation, so half of that company was working for me only. Once I got rid of my wholesaling business, didn't get rid of it, but I slowed it down drastically. I was able to focus on profitability on the VA business, and that's when that business actually became profitable. So, believe it or not, I put down real estate for a while, focused on the VA business, and now we're making money, we're profitable. And now I can predict better what the profitability of that business is going to be even when I exit it, because my goal is to sell it. My goal is not to keep it until I die.
Right.
I want to sell it in 5 years, along with the software company. So I learned a long time ago at a seminar it was not a seminar, it was like a whole university thing from Success Resources, that every time you start a business, you got to start with the end in mind.
Yeah.
And most people start a business and they think they're going to keep it until they die. And the most likely what's going to happen is that business will die before they die.
Yeah. So
knowing that and having that in mind, I want to sell mine when I'm in the top. So that's what we're preparing for.
I love that because otherwise you're married to a job.
Yeah.
And if you don't go to work.
And don't get me wrong, Tim, I'll probably work until I'm dead. I will. I just can't stand still. Now, I can take a whole week vacation. I can do that. I can take a whole month off.
Yeah, because you're the guy. You're texting me yesterday. From where were you?
I was in Cancun.
Yeah, I mean, come on now.
But
I work.
But that's what I call work. Hey, today I'm here with you, hanging out, and probably tomorrow night we're gonna go have a few drinks. To me, that's work.
Cigars with Sean Whalen and Carlos and Brent.
Wherever, yeah, that's right. So, but to me, that's work.
Oh yeah, that is work.
That is work.
That's what I tell my wife.
That's what I tell my wife
that is
too.
Work. Cigars, drinks, Ricardo.
Yeah, honey, watching this. Look who I work with. But that's really work for me, right? When I go to my call center, I am putting hours over there from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. easily. I don't do anything else other than being in my call center. But then I have the ability to remove myself from the business, and the business will continue to run. And that's when I start thinking, okay, what do I want to do next?
Right.
What's next when I sell my business or when I...
What's the answer?
Yeah, and I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
I'm going to be a rancher? You're going to develop hotels? What are we thinking?
I have no idea.
I'm going to be a rancher. So when I say I don't want to work, I'm gonna be busy,
Right.
but I want to like be a rancher. I want to.
Right.
I'm
You want to
45.
live in the ranch.
I intend to sell all my companies by the time I'm 50, and my youngest son will be out of high school. And at that time, I told my wife, we'll just go live on a ranch. I'm going to run the ranch, but it's going to be reverse Green Acres. Check this out. On Green Acres, you remember that show?
Yeah.
When we were kids? They would go to the ranch on the weekend and spend all week in the city. Well, I'm going to go to the city in the week when everybody's at work, and I'll have fun in my city. Then, I'll go to the ranch on the week when no one's there. On the weekend, when everyone's going out to the country, I'm going to come to the city and party down. So, reverse Green Acres is my plan.
I think I'm gonna be on the beach somewhere. I do love the beach. I don't know where, but I haven't thought of that far yet. You know, I'm more into the business into the next 10 years because I'm 45 now. If I can build it until I'm 50 to 55, I'm okay. What happens after that, Tim? I don't know, man. I will continue to flip houses. I will continue to do a wholesale deal here and there. It's like, once you're a dealer like that, it's on your blood, man. It's in your DNA. Yeah. It doesn't go away. So, who knows? But one thing for sure is I will build that company and sell it because that's one of the things I want to check off, be able to exit a business.
It's a fun thing.
Yeah.
I've done it a couple times. So, on that note, I'm sure some things will happen between now and then that we're not planning on. And hopefully we'll be more prepared. If you haven't read it yet, Ray Dalio wrote a great book called Principles, the founder of Bridgewaters.
Yes.
It's a great book. I just finished reading it. Highly recommend.
I will buy it now.
It's a great book. So we're almost out of time. Real quick, I tell everybody anything we didn't cover, any parting thoughts or parting shots?
Guys, just go take action. Go implement everything you dream of. If you want to be a real estate investor, go buy something, a piece of land, buy a mobile home, buy a trailer, buy a house, buy something, but go do it. Don't just stay in the planning stages. I've seen so many people stay in the planning stages. They want everything to be perfect before they go take action. You got to take massive imperfect action. And life is not perfect. And when you think you got it figured out, something happens that will spun you out of freaking, your lane, and you got to reinvent yourself like it's happened to me multiple times. But one thing that I do is I take action and I just don't let defeat, take over my life. I just go ahead and get up one more time and continue going.
Absolutely, man. Well, if someone wants to reach out and learn about your company or your events, how do they find you?
Attend Growth is our next event. That's our flagship event. It's happening in Houston, Texas, January 26th, 27th. You're invited, Tim. And go to attendgrowth.com or go to my Instagram, Ricardo M. Rosales. That's where you can text me, send me a message. Most likely my VAs will respond to you.
They will.
And they will. I know they've been chasing Tim for VA services. But they do everybody else too. So, but anyhow, that's where you can get a hold of me. And I hope to shake your hand soon and see you making things happen.
Well, buddy, thanks for taking your time to come in.
I appreciate you,
brother. It means the world to me.
No, I appreciate you. And thank you for hosting me and having me here today.
Yes, sir. So we're out of time. That's it for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure. Remember, your network is your net worth, and today you've been growing both. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to Uncontested Investing. Questions about today's episode or the podcast? Email podcast@rcncapital.com and make sure to follow REI Inc. magazine on LinkedIn and Facebook and RCN Capital on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. See you all next time.